Now, a news story that I never thought the day would come, but we can finally rejoice in something. And it seems like we are getting more real steel. Now, for those that don't know what real steel is, you are probably part of the problem because real steel underperformed at the box office of what it should have done. And also, before we really get into this isn't set in stone yet, but it seems very, very likely it's in very early stages that a Real Steel series is in the works for Disney Plus. I have wanted this for a really long time. Josh, when do we think the first Real Steel came out? Let me look it up real quick.
I'm going to say
Got it.
I want to say mid 2000s.
2011. So it's been
Oh
10
wow.
years since the first Real Steel. The only Real Steel. Real Steel was one of those movies that all the trailers kind of looked bad. It just looked like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. There's a whole bunch of Rock'em Sock'em Robots jokes, and then you actually see the movie, and it's really, really good. Shawn Levy is the king of, doesn't look that great, and way over delivering. He just did it with Free Guy. He did it before with Night at the Museum, which I still think is kind of underappreciated. I've always wanted to continue the world of Real Steel because it sets up such an interesting world of there's no actual boxing anymore and they're all controlled by robots. And it fluctuates of like you can make your own, you can buy your own. The world that they set up was interesting. It didn't go full Blade Runner of it's completely sci-fi. It still feels very much lived in. We haven't heard any news officially yet if Hugh Jackman or Shawn Levy will come back. But I feel like if it was a few months ago that we talked about Shawn Levy wanting to come back for more Real Steel, and Hugh Jackman and he, whenever they get together, talk about making another one. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shawn Levy comes back, if nothing else, as a producer, and maybe Hugh Jackman comes on as a producer, but I'm not sure. This is encouraging that they're at least weighing their options, because to me, this has been a franchise that needs more follow-ups. I enjoyed the first one a lot more than I thought I would. Maybe the kid. I forget what the kid's name is in it, but maybe he's an adult who's, I don't know, has his own boxing league or something, and he's kind of the background character that's the catalyst for some other stories going forward. But Josh, you see a Real Steel series is in the works. Thoughts?
Dude, let's go. Absolutely, let's go. I'm so like you said. It has been what we said 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years since the last one. So there's just there's so many possibilities. I don't need Hugh to be in this. I almost wonder if so. Just pitching off the top of my head here. Let's say something happens in which Hugh is no longer around. You could say he died of a heart attack because of his bad living, whatever. His character's no longer in the picture. So we have our grown-up kid who is, like you said, running a gym. And I just get this Cobra Kai vibe from it that like possibilities wise.
Says the dude that hasn't watched Cobra Kai.
It's on as soon as I'm done, and you can quote me on this because I'm saying it on the pod. As soon as
that
I'm
means
done
nothing.
With...
Oh, also speaking of things that have been said on the pod. What was that you said, Josh, about the Scream being one of the biggest financial flops of the year?
Yeah.
As it overtook Spider-Man at the box office this weekend and made a pretty healthy $35 million.
Yeah.
Continue.
But how good is it? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot. As soon as I'm done on Series of Unfortunate Events, I'm planning on getting.
It's 75% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That means nothing. That literally means nothing. like you and I both know that you can't.
No, that actually means a lot for a horror movie to get that high.
I mean, I guess, sure.
Josh just cannot concede a win to Scream.
Like, no, because it's Scream. I don't like. I don't like the
Do you
movies.
want
I
me to call
haven't
it
liked
Five
any
Cream
of the.
instead?
You know what? Fine. I'll go and see it, and then I'll tell you how terrible it is. How
I'm
about that?
hoping to see it this week.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Just like I was
Okay.
hoping to see a Real Steel sequel. Haha, segue.
Segue. Yeah. I think this is the best avenue for it, rather than. It's one of the things I think that I'm excited for that people are figuring out that shows have a tendency to be able to tell better stories than a movie outing, and I'm all about that. I mean, yes, I know they need more original content on their on DC plus on DC plus Disney Plus, but like this is it, man. I'm down for it.
So I know the original was already kind of, but not fully, this concept. But what would you think? Real Steel meets Iron Giant slash Bumblebee of lone character discovers rundown old piece of equipment, and that's more or less his only friend.
So the movie.
See, it's different though because
No, the movie does that though.
doesn't he control the robot though? He controls the robot. The robot isn't a free thinking
A
robot.
little bit until they realize about halfway through the movie that the robot's kind of sentient. A little
Which the movie, I don't know, at least the trailers to me, I remember watching the movie thinking, oh, this is not the direction that the trailer showed at all. Because in the trailers you see Hugh Jackman doing the moves and the robot executing them, like mirroring them. But for most of the movie, you control it like a game. I'm going, oh,
that's
so that's not the solution for Hugh Jackman's beat up state? Because I thought that was a really interesting concept of kind of your emotions are what controls the robot. So maybe we take that approach. I would like that.
yeah, they do kind of say at the end that he's kind of that Adam is semi sentient and like has feelings and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. I'm open to it, super open to it. Maybe not as open as our next story though.